So normally I'm not very good at reading aloud, and I'm just making this video so I can practice. Man, I'm starting to fucking fail. Like, I've done so many tries. When the moon was first forming, the moon wasn't a moon at all. It was a neighboring planet to our home Earth, named Thea. One day, Thea came too close to Earth and collided, killing off much of Earth's inhabitants, but also destroying our neighbor, causing debris to orbit Earth and forming a moon. Whilst all this was happening, the first man was forming thoughts. He had been the only one of his kind that he knew of, and after the collision, he became certain of the idea that he was the only one left. But he didn't seem to mind. He had been used to being on his own. The first man, and the last one for quite some time, could think, but didn't quite know how to think, nor how to react to his thoughts. Some thoughts went against his instincts of survival, and some were miscellaneous assortments of ideas as if the rabbits, deer, and antelope that once ran amongst the field were now running around in his head, and others were merely questions that would probably never be answered. Many days after the collision, he thought that it would be safe to leave his cave, which was filled with animal hides, burnt-out fires, and numerous paintings upon the walls for every idea and question he never wanted to forget. When he stepped outside onto the hot, loose rocks, he was greeted by a large object in the sky. It looked similar to the fires he had made to warm himself at night, but it looked like a much stronger fire. He looked fearfully as he slowly climbed to the top of the cave. But as he peered at the large blazing fire in the sky, his thoughts of rationality overthrew his instincts. He had decided not to be fearful, for if it was going to attack, it would have already done so, and he would have no say in that. These were the types of thoughts the first man had mostly. Simple, rational ideas, and an updated and upgraded version of instincts was all he took it as. After sitting on the cliff above his cave, the first man gazed upon the empty land, realizing that he had forgotten to check his surroundings, for he had been hypnotized by the object in the sky. Curiosity had taken advantage of him, and it could have been his end. Still, though, he sat and stared. Sat and stared, gazed, looked. None of these words can capture the way his eyes were transfixed on this strange object. He couldn't help but think that this beautiful destructive force was the leftovers of the days of the earth shaking and rocking as it was going to fall out of the grips of God, space, and time. Then he remembered the cries and hollers of the animals he once feared and the ones he hunted. Cries. But while sitting on his secure cave listening to his enemies whimper and fall, he felt sympathetic for them. He had never known sympathy, until he realized the cries weren't from pain, they were cries of sadness and fear. And this fierce, burning rock in the sky was all that was left. He didn't know if he should hate the mess or maybe praise it. He had been a witness to a beautiful creation of destruction. The name of the object came to him. He knew that only a simple name could capture something so elegant. Moon. After hours of staring at the moon and questioning himself, he decided it was time to go find food to cure the stabbing pain in his stomach. While standing up, the first man lost his footing and fell no more than 12 feet, but it was enough to split his thin skull. As he laid there dying, he was enraged. He had been the first man, the one of the few to survive the collision. He was the first to see the moon, and so as he bled to death, and he too wept, for he knew that he should have died in a more important way. As his eyes closed, he could only see the moon. And so, the first and last man died with a smile. That's an alright one. I really fucked up on reading that though, huh? This is something that's kind of, to this day, it's kind of personal with me. Like, I wrote it a long time ago, and it has more depth now than it used to, and it's extremely short. Like, it's really, really short. It's called Search. If you look for it, you won't be able to find it. You have to be half dead laying outside on a cold winter day. Laying in the sun with your eyes closed, the blue of the blank sky will fill with the words and the answers you need to know. Suddenly, you will notice that in the neglected corner, a shimmer of white light will warm you. That's when you will notice that this is either the greatest metaphor you've ever heard or just the greatest feeling you will ever know. Now the reason this sticks so much to me is the line, "The blue of the blank sky will fill with words and the answers you need to know." Like, I mean, I don't see how you couldn't like that line, and the fact that I wrote that just fucking blows me away. So that's that. There was another story that I wanted to read instead of those two, but it was too long to fit. I'm too slow of a reader or something, I guess. I don't know. But if you like those, then just say, hey, post that second, or post that other one in 2 parts, and I'll do it. Just one person has to say it, and I'll fucking do that. This wasn't a music one. I still need to get around to fucking posting about that record player. I know. I'm sorry. But it's in my room, and that's like a really weird sound in there. So, yeah. Until next time, guys, I hope you enjoyed my writing, and I love you.